Dr. G. Vahini ma'am, Professor and HOD, Department of Pathology, Alluri Sitaramaraju Academy of Medical Sciences. HOD of Anatomy, Medical Education Coordinator, Medical Education Unit, Dr. Pinamnini Siddhartha Institute of Medical Sciences and Research Foundation, Chinnauttupalli. Dr. P.J. Srinivas Sir, Associate Professor, Department of Community Medicine, Andhra Medical College, Visakhapatnam. And last, Dr.
Outline, Assessment Practice Gap Challenge.
Yeah, good afternoon all. I feel happy that the whole hall is full. On a lighter note, so this is Dr. Swati Purnima, Professor and Head, Department of Anatomy from Pinamneni Siddhartha Institute of Medical Sciences. So today we have been given the task of speaking something on clinical readiness and how effective are our assessment methods in providing this clinical readiness. So me going through all the literature on what is clinical readiness, what I felt and what I could pick up is clinical readiness is after having a complete medical training in a medical institute, as we are saying them as institutes now, medical institutes, and then going into the community or the society where you are showing your expertise. So readiness is after you have been trained, and this training is helping you to provide a proper health care provision to the community. So how well are we preparing our students to this, and how well are we pulling out all these students into the society or into the community is the requirement here. So the word assessment. So how far are we understanding what is assessment? As I can relate few things here. We want our intern to learn, like I'm iterating the words which were put up by Krishna Sheshadri sir yesterday. We want our interns to learn to provide an IV access, to do basic life support, to do a regular normal labor, and we want them to learn more of the simple skills which they would be acting like a physician of first contact. Do you all agree with that? That we are going to make them as physicians of first contact? As individual, okay? If I were an individual without any medical background, after having a complete Google knowledge from the window shopping from the Google, would I go to an MBBS tutor to take treatment for my fever and cough? So I want some response from the audience too. Will you all go to a medical student who has just finished his MBBS, got his registration done, temporary registration done, finished his internship, and he is just practicing? So would we all go to, are you all confident that he or she was my student, and will we go to him for our treatment? Why a big no? If we say no, definitely the fingers are going to point to us. When we are pointing a finger to the student, 4 fingers are pointing us. What went wrong here? Yeah, we'll make this, we are few here, so we'll make it more interactive, rather than we speaking on more and more of theory and putting on more and more points. Anyone, please hand over the mic to the audience also.
We are not at even simple diagnosis of the common fevers. We are not even diagnosing simple cases.
Ma'am, do you expect that the interns need to do diagnosis?
Yes, for up to 5 years, what we are discussing is diagnosis of the simple cases.
Okay, ma'am.
Then interns, we tried like that, but interns unable to give a symptomatic treatment to the patients. Simple.
Yes, yeah, very good, ma'am. You have come to the point. Then how we are going to make him diagnose? What is the faculty going to do for the final year student to diagnose?
There are many issues there, madam. One is both sides, either it is student or it is...
Exactly, madam. So sweet of you. You have made our work very easy. So today, we as panelists did not wanted to restrict what are the assessment methods, where we are doing this assessment methods, what are the challenges and where we are failing it. Our discussion would be a bi-directional way. So what are the different assessment methods we are using, but what are the loopholes? Definitely, I feel the faculty and students are at the grassroots level, but the policy making is from the higher level. Definitely, it is from the regulatory body. Let it be the NMC, the MARB, whatever boards we have. All these boards are responsible for what has to be conducted appropriately. Pardon me, I will be bombarding NMC many a times during our discussion, but I feel that regulatory body should be the one who have to give prescribed. It is not just giving you a book like Gita and Bible and just follow all the competencies and see that your students have just filled it up. Okay? NMC is also providing us a set of assessments. Very true, I am not saying. Are we getting that time? Are we getting that context? Are we getting that environment? There is something called an authentic learning environment. Are we providing all the students, all the 150 to 200, that authentic learning environment where we are teaching them as well as we are assessing them accordingly? That is what is my open question to everyone and to the panelists next to me.
Sir, this particular question is to you, sir, Kiriti sir. What are the current assessment limitation in medical education? What were the traditional methods? What were the challenges faced? And what are the emerging new methods?
Thank you, madam. So, the discussion already half completed right with this. Now, the present scenario, so what assessment is the important thing. So, for the assessment, there are many types from first phase to third phase. Many types are there. So, for CBME, what is the key of CBME is the assessment, that is formative assessment, is this keystone, key role, play a key role in the CBME. So, are we doing formative assessment regularly? So some teachers may say that yes sir, we are following and we are conducting internals and all that. But are we giving feedback? So key to the feedback, formative assessment is the feedback that we are not giving. So we are conducting internal assessment as miniature of the summative assessment only. We are giving only how many marks they are getting and all that. That's all. Pass or fail, or how many marks they are getting. That's all. No feedback at all. And if you discuss about the formative assessment, every time they will say it is only internal assessment. Internal assessment is part of formative assessment. That's all. So there are so many ways of some formative assessment like that. And next is coming to. This is the original situation, and we are conducting internal assessment, and after that we will have summative assessment in the form of university examinations. And in university examinations, what we are giving, one theory exams and MCQs also, they are included now. And just past years, we are conducting theory exams in the form of just essay, write a essay on so and so topic, like that. Now gradually it is improving to become a structured essay question now. Now it is improving, but still there are so many lacunas are there in framing this structured essay question, but still we are on the way to evaluating towards the good structured question. And coming to short answer questions also, previously they used to tell only some essay on leptospirosis, what they will do in short notes, like that. But gradually it is improving. And coming to MCQs, MCQs also, now it is meaningful MCQs are coming forward. And everything that MCQs also, we thought that it is a higher order of assessing the student. But still it is also factual recall method only. So, long questions all comes under knows how, up to maximum knows how. And coming to practicals, in clinical side, they will give one long case and one or two short cases and viva question. And long case also, what Dr. Krishna sir told, Krishna Sheshad, so similar, same thing happening in each and every college in this entire India. So we will give cases, the students will write the case in one room and the examiners will sit in one room and ask about the case. So yeah, even though it is named as a practicals, but the practical skills, we are assessing the practical skills, but we are assessing only knowledge part only, not the practical skills. So to make a practical skill, to assessment of practical skills in the long case, we can divide that case into two parts. One part, the two exams will be there. One exam will observe how the student is taking history from the attendant or patient directly, if it is pediatric attendant, and he can assess. And the second part, clinical examination, clinical science illustration, and documentation of the record, and analysis of laboratory investigation, and how they make the diagnosis, how they plan for management. These things will be separately assessed by another exam. In this way, you can split the long case these two. And also we can make it as, suppose there is any depth of any examination and all that. In such cases, we can make it ASCII also. In future, I think it may come. Even in a long case also, we can make it as a ASCII type. Same thing. They will give first, the student will examine the case completely. And suppose for coming to the history, first he will write the history, he will take the history and everything. And next session, we'll ask some questions, related questions, so 4 or 5 questions related to the positive must know history. That question, in the question form, we will make it. So the student may forget to ask that question, that he may lose the marks like that. And similarly, examination pattern, clinical examination, hepatomegaly, splenomegaly, and palpation of the, kidney, like that. So any point is there, we'll ask the next session. The only question pattern will be there. What is the size of the liver? Is tip of the spleen is palpable, like that. So that you can concentrate on it. So in future, you may turn into this type of questionnaire type. And coming to and work-based assessment. Now after completion of the student and will become the internee, but we are not at all assessing. Once he completed the final year MBBS, we are not at all assessing any way to this house surgeon. Unless you assess, the student will not have any interest. So what is Madam just Dr. Rama told, because for example, why we are not going to the first year completed, very novice medical student to go for our treatment, because we are not having some confidence. We means all the people. And the teachers also, we are not going to that student. Why? Because we are not assessor. We don't know how skillful he is, because we didn't assess his skill. So in that way, workplace assessment is also very important. And workplace assessment, we can do like DOPS or mini CX exam pattern, or any portfolios. We can logbook writing, everything, reflective writing. These things we can make the student to learn more things, more skills. So it is very that shows some important. That shows some interest. The internee will show the interest if you assess like that. It is not an examination pattern. Just to put some concentration on the internees also. Then they can. This is my outputs, ma'am. Thank you.
Well said, sir. So you, whatever the assessment methods which were going traditionally, what were the pitfalls you highlighted, and also newer emerging methods like structured essay question, OSCE, DOPE session, mini CX. So all this you have highlighted, and also the importance and why it should be implemented in the current curriculum. So next, Lakshmi Madam, what are the innovative methods in assessment?
So good morning. Before I really go to the innovative methods, I just want to comment upon what Dr. Swati said. She said, do you want to go to an MBBS doctor? Definitely not. We have so many specialists and super specialists around. We don't want to go. But then it so happens when the NMC said Indian medical graduate first contact physician, Does it mean that the first contact physician should be only practicing in the society and we all will go to him? Or it is just so that somebody falls ill at a very remote area where one MBBS student or an intern is there who could really do something at that particular time, utilizing all his knowledge, all his skills, and save that person, or at least give a first aid to that person at that particular moment. Do you think that is not important as a first contact physician? You don't have to practice with MBBS, but you should have that minimum basic skill. Like I can quote one example. When one student was traveling from Geetham Medical College, I think a third year student or an intern, I don't remember, when she was traveling in a train, she had to deliver one lady because that train did not stop anywhere. Even before they could get a medical advice, the lady got pains in the coach, and immediately this girl has gone forward and she conducted delivery. She was a bit frightened, but she was confident because she did some deliveries. She has an idea. So is it not a first contact physician now? She is definitely, and she could save. She did the minimum, and immediately in the next stop the train stopped and they got the medical advice. That is what we expect from our medical students. An ordinary person, what an ordinary person cannot do, why can't a medical student do? And here the assessment, the importance of assessment lies. So the student should be assessed not just by doing something in the final examination or conducting a practical or showing some skill. It should be a longitudinal assessment right from the day he joins till the time he completes. So I think that is the best way of assessment. But one thing we all have to remember is assessment is not just the student or the intern that is involved. Assessment involves the assessor also. So that the assessor should know how to assess. Not that we all don't know, but then before we really assess someone, we should have a checklist. With the checklist, we should assess, not that some skill has been performed there in the OSCE. Okay, fine, well, good assessment, we have given good marks. It's not so. It's something different. So the approach should be innovative. I mean, we have to take it, we have to look it in a different perception, being assessors. We don't see it as an examination, pass or fail, skill done or not done. It's not just that. It's something beyond all that. We have to have that vision where we really need to see the student has performed well right from the day one of his entering into the medical college till the day last where he has come out of the medical college as an intern. So it should be a longitudinal assessment. It should be a 360-degree evaluation. That's what I feel, that is more than anything. We don't have to go for AI or we don't have to go for mobiles and all. These can assist us in assessing, but then I feel this is more than what a medical student should learn about, more than what we could assess about. Thank you.
Can you also throw light on entrustable professional activities? What are these, ma'am?
Yes, entrustable professional activities. So when we have some guidelines, so it includes a bit of a longitudinal assessment also. We have some guidelines. So the learning capabilities, the learning abilities and the performing skills all are to be assessed. So that's what I said. We should have a checklist. And we should have a blueprint of what is happening. So this actually takes care of whether we are assessing properly or not, whether this is a profession where we cannot allow one mistake at one point of time. Okay, fine, one mistake, so we'll leave. One surgery, okay, we'll leave. It's not that. It's something, every moment, every skill is very important because it is all associated with the patient care. So everything should be very well sketched, very well understood, very well displayed, very well taught, and then very well be assessed. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. So you have clearly stated that minimum skills should be possessed by an Indian medical graduate since he is the physician of the first contact. And also you throw light on narrative skills and also what is called as longitudinal assessment. Sir, I have a question for you. What is the bridging the assessment practice gap? What is it?
Yeah. So, good morning all of you. So the first thing is, what are the reasons for the gap? So that is first we need to discuss. So first thing is, are we really trying to bring a change in the assessment pattern? Because you can see so many seniors who are following the traditional pattern of assessments. They are reluctant to change, they are reluctant to listen to even the innovative ideas which are put forward. And for example, there are one or two faculty who are interested to bring new changes in the departments with different assessment methods. So that is not supported by somebody else. So if somebody tries to do something new in the department, they might comment why this fellow is doing all these things. He doesn't have any work other than this. So that is a comment which generally they get it. So that should be discouraged because it's a teamwork. So we need to see that everybody participates in that, everybody learns and practices it. Next thing is identifying the felt needs of the community. That is what the NMC says. Are we really identifying the felt needs of the community and trying to train the students in such a way that he or she is able to confidently, competent enough to handle such scenarios? So that is lacking. So another thing is, where are we really training them to that extent so that the student is confident enough? So that is also where the students are just clearing of the exam, pass is pass, that's all. But in real terms, are they really confident enough to handle a scenario? As madam was mentioning that a girl has handled a normal delivery. It's great, it's fine, she has taken a lead and done it. So she has that confidence to do it. And one most important thing is the logistics. For example, recently NMC has given, I think all of the colleges got it, where we are asked to do how many SDLs have been done, how many small group discussions have been done by each faculty. So in real sense, what we have to say, we need to have at least the classrooms or the demo halls where 4 or 5 are required to see that we conduct a small group discussions. The second thing is, NMC has given an indication or a guideline to what are the minimum requirements of a skill lab. So, is it being equipped in all the colleges? If it is equipped, is it being really utilized? And if it is utilized, how many of the faculty are really trained in that? To conduct the skills, to perform the skills and also train the student in that particular skills. So these are some of the issues where which we need to take into consideration, and these things, if they are overcome, then it will be a better way of so that the student learns better and the confidence of the student will be better, and definitely they will be at least right to some occasion where we can say that the student can perform these things. So that can be the things where the gap can be identification of the gaps.
So the core competencies, they should be able to perform, the core competencies. Madam, Swati Madam, what are the critical questions that you want to address to the clinicians?
Ma'am, I think everything is critical in a critical environment which is not taken critically. So this can be like a tongue twister. But what I feel is, I support PJ sir in this. Like, are we having that framework, what NMC is saying as standard minimum requirements, where now colleges are in a rat race to increase the number of seats? Pardon me, I might be speaking few facts here. And do you think that government which is planning, abke bar again Modi Sarkar wants 15,000 seats to be increased in the next 5 years. So with this span of number, where you have so many entries into the medical college, do you think we have fit for faculty for assessing all these students? And are we not breeding poultry or breeding a fish? So I don't think even the poultry and the fish can be assessed and then it is sent into the market. So what is the market value? I should not say market value. What is the industry value of the students who are going out as bunches? That is one critical question I want to ask. Critical in the sense is, I again iterate that it is always up to the regulatory body who has to decide. See, we are very fantasized with this Western culture. See, the culture, educational beliefs of West is different, the context is different, their learning environment is different. A simple example, that which I want to give. we run a very robust body donation program at Pinnamanini. And every 3 months we conduct good cadaveric workshops where the surgeons are using them. One of it I can also relate to Dr. Mohanty, who comes for the temporal bone dissections to our CMA workshops. This is where expertise is learned. But in the West, I see that everything is learned on simulation. I never say that don't include simulation, but never replace a traditional education with simulation. Go in a blended way. What we are doing is we are picking up everything from the West, including the assessments. There is something which is called, I want to highlight on this, something called programmatic assessment. This has been brought up by Dr. Tejendra Singh also in many papers, but as rightly said by PG sir, many of us want to resist it before applying it or before at all using it, utilizing it. Programming assessment, as again Madam Lakshmi has said, is a longitudinal assessment where assess the student in chunks and bits. Don't assess him at a whole. Use the number of, see, the formative is the mantra. What I feel is formative assessment, as said by Kiriti sir, is formative assessment is the mantra. Forget about Dr. NTR University, forget about RGUH. If you want from your institution topmost doctors to be in the topmost Google list or the topmost ChatGPT list, what I feel is try to assess. Make assessment as learning. We all know that for learning, off learning is offbeated now. Assessment as learning. See, everybody points out, don't take me in a negative sense, like the seniors or the mid-level, what I feel is, don't point out to the teaching or the teaching faculty. NMC wants us to be just facilitators, that's it. That is why it has included SDLs, the lifelong learning part. How many of our students are going back after my class? I don't think so. No student is going back and going to read the book. If I say I am having a test tomorrow, then he is going to read. That also he won't read and come, definitely. So what I feel is, make the importance. Students should be made clear that this assessment is for your betterment. Assess that. Assess that in small bits and chunks. Once you assess in small bits and chunks or different, collect those data points. Each data point. Then summate it. Then compare it with your summative university exams. I think such a futuristic thought in assessment can bring up few critical changes. That can also happen in both for the clinical student, both basic sciences and clinical. For this, and again important critical thing is, are all medical education passionate are going to come on the same platform? No. When I say my hen has only one leg, somebody says it has 4 legs. So I think there should be a unified platform where passionate medical education should take part, have passion. Along with fashion, both fashion and passion should be there. Follow the latest trend, implement those latest trend, do pilot studies. That is why I encourage many of my friends, colleagues to do more of research. It might be in medical education, the medical education research. Do more of research. Whatever your findings, let it be negligible. They will do wonders and they create wonders, but try to apply it in your small population, then go for that generalizability. So what I feel is, all of us has to come on a single platform, identify this. Again, I am pointing out the main culprit and the villain is our regulatory body, NMC. NMC changes every regulation every year. Manasvi is getting angry, but still I have to iterate. It changes regulations for 22 batch, 23 batch, 24 batch again. It is a headache of the HODs and the MU coordinators when we send our feedback to you all, sir. Okay? So we have to again check AdCom module for 22 batch. How many modules were there? How many have you been completed? See, I think the liberty, good. Everything is included. But I think somewhere we are losing the pace. We are getting derailed. I don't say that it is like the Ahmedabad plane which crashed abruptly, but I say we are derailing ourselves. We were actually on the track, but somewhere because of time constraint, because of this change of regulatory bodies, we are derailing ourselves, again coming back, again derailing. So I think everything goes on this, think ahead. One point is always think ahead for the betterment of the students.
Thank you, madam. Well said. Sir, you want to add anything?
Sir, madam, what she told rightly said. Nowadays faculty are burned out. and students are overstressed because of all these things.
Madam, yours, sir.
So, Swati, I think going in a positive way, what I feel is, I think we need to better understand NMC properly. Okay, it has just given us guidelines. There's no hard and fast rule that we will do it in that way only. It has given us freedom to conduct classes. I understand again there is time constraint, but still within our purview, I think we can just deviate taking the guidelines and make the teaching or the assessment, whatever is better in our own way. I don't think I think this is in a positive way. So I think NMC should be better understood because it is only talking about the outcome. And it has given some guidelines. Okay, we'll give the outcome, we'll take the guidelines, we won't follow you 10%, we'll have our own way of doing things. It is giving us more chance to really educate our own selves and develop. And I think after this NMC, CBMA thing, there's lots of change in all of us. We became facilitators, but we became learners also, lifelong learners. It's not just the traditional way. We are trying to innovate new methods. So one example I just want to give you, I hope I'm not taking much time. We have started something called buddy teaching, which they have already told. It's not a new thing, but then we have started doing it in such a way, especially the Department of Anatomy in our college. They have started buddy teaching. It's just peer teaching and it's going on in such leaps and bounds. All the students are very happy. They are doing far better. And then they are conducting quiz, which is called a bingo quiz. On Saturday it was conducted and it was such an enjoyment for the students. The students were only making all the lists, they are only programming everything, they are doing it, they are doing very well. Of course, time is a constraint as you said because 18 classes, 82 classes, 100 classes, this is a big problem. But still, okay, to make it more entertaining, to make the students understand the importance of learning in a very congenial atmosphere, I think. So I feel that NMC, after rolling down the CBME, it is we who are getting more benefited than the students. And I have a hope that the students will definitely improve and there's going to be a tremendous change in the coming years. Thank you.
Srinivas, sir.
Yeah. So actually, what can be done to narrow down the gap? So first thing is, we need to change the assessment pattern, design new things. Even now, if we ask other departments to plan for OSCEs and OSBs, so why all these things? So we will go with the traditional thing. Who will ask us? So that reluctance should go away and we need to plan. We need to design newer things and assessment also need to be planned in such a way that you assess uniformly. Unbiased way of doing it. So that is important. So next thing is, yesterday Dr. Stephen John was mentioning what is the main component of formative assessment. Kiriti sir also told the main component of CBM is formative assessment. So formative assessment is the area where you can use all these things. All these innovative things can be planned at that time. So there is no restriction for it. Even because we are not using it, NMC has given a new guideline. For PG, you make it OSCE mandatory. We got a guideline like that. Because NMC has given us options, but we're not utilizing them. So again, they're forcing us to do something. At least you will do it because it's a part of the examination. So that is another thing. Next thing is the planning of these activities should be executed properly in each department. Initially, when you plan these things, it may take some time. There may be a lot of work to be done. But in due course of time, by taking the feedback, you just refine the things and just do it. From the students, we take a feedback, as you said, sir, in the formative assessment. So that definitely improves the quality of the teaching, training and competency of the student will be improving. So more important thing is how to plan these skills, how to teach these skills. Yesterday I have seen Dr. Lavanya was presenting one poster where they have done a workshop in GSL to train the skills to the faculty. Okay, so the faculty will be learning how to plan teaching a skill in a skills lab or in a scenario. So that will definitely enhance the quality of the faculty also, so that they will have a plan, they try to think in that line and try to see that they train the students accordingly. And most important thing is, who should execute all these things? or who should monitor all these things? Any guess? Any guess from the faculty who should monitor all these things are running? ప్రిన్సిపల్ అన్నీ మీరే చూస్తారా సార్? అవర్సెల్స్లో కూడా కొన్ని కమిటీస్ ఉన్నాయి. దేర్ సంథింగ్ కాల్డ్ కరికులం కమిటీ. Curriculum committee has to foresee that all these things run appropriately as per the guidelines. We are framing a timetable, but who is monitoring that after every quarterly? NMC says that every quarter you need to have a curriculum committee meeting and sending the report to the NMC also. But curriculum committees, most colleges, what I see is on paper, they're not functioning. It's a fact. Okay, so when they do a quarterly review, definitely they can see what are the lacunae, what are the requirements, what can be done better. So that is the area where we need to stress upon. Even NMC has given a format, what to be discussed in a meeting. We're not just sitting and discussing randomly. I share the format with all medical colleges under my RC so that they will discuss in those aspects and they will improving the things which are supposed to be done. So quality, and there is earlier we used to have a topic in the BCME, quality assessment in medical education. So we can have a quality assessment team also if it is required, but a curriculum committee can play a major role in this, execute it and see that it is done appropriately. So even the timetables which are being done, how many people are really sitting together and discussing the departments together? I think first time when they started, it has happened. Now what they are doing, for example, anatomy, Dr. Swati might have done it. She might transfer it to physiology, send a soft copy. They will fill it up, again send to biochemistry, fill it up, and then just complete. Okay, but what is supposed to be done? The department should sit together. Yesterday, Dr. Chalam sir was discussing about a panel regarding integration. Integration is also planned in the timetable. Why you should ask one day before, sir, you have to come for the class. So integration committee is there where you can discuss, decide. Prior planning is there for it, but what is the lacunae is execution. So you need to monitor the execution where definitely that will improve. So NMC definitely changing the things where we are losing the track. I also accept it. But things are there within us where we can bring a change. So that has to be done. Of course, yourself individually or myself individually cannot do it. We as a team should do it. The department, there should be support from the department, there should be support from the administration. So all these things should go in line. Finally, there will be a good outcome. So that is my perception. Thank you.
Anything else? Madam?
Sir, we were planned in such a way that I would be speaking the negative point of every negative and all the three will be speaking positive. Hope this was, the discussion went on happily.
All three had to go against Swati now to make it positive. But again, to add the last point, so no assessment is complete without a feedback. So when we assess, it's not for the benefit of the student. Of course, that is needed for the benefit of us, whether we are assessing properly, we are going in the right path or not. We need to take a feedback for our own self. I think that is very, very important. Sometimes after we complete the exam and come out, we'll feel those lapses or gaps in our mind. So I think they should be considered very seriously and we have to make it better. So assessment is definitely going to help the students as well as the assessors. Thank you all.
Sir, we are having so many armamentarium to assess the students or to teach them and all those things. But as a student, I am not at all interested in all your assessments. I am not interested in reading, in coming to the classes and hearing to the classes and for your assessments. But I just want degree. From day one to final day after my... what is your advisement? What is your advice and what is the...
Sir, if they are not interested in all these things, let them not join MBBS.
No, I want degree. I am having...
We cannot give like that. It's not possible, sir. Not possible.
No, it is becoming possible, sir. That is what I am. So, what are the things?
So again we have to blame ourselves for it. Why you are passing all the students? Even a good student or bad student has been clearing of the
I
practical.
will support sir in this, sir. Sir, that is what the first point I am saying. Government is going on increasing the number of seats. You have so many. Earlier, when myself and PG sir would have been students, there were only 9 colleges and only 900 seats. We have, I will speak in my mother tongue also. మేము కింద మీద పడి కాలేజీలోకి వచ్చాం సార్, మాకు ఆ కష్టం తెలుసు. డూ యూ థింక్ నా మై డాటర్ డజంట్ నో మమ్మీ సీక్యాట్ కడతావా, నీకు ఏం కావాలి, ఆఫ్టర్ మెడిసిన్ వాట్ ఆర్ యూ గోయింగ్ టు డూ అంటే అప్పుడు నువ్వే చెప్తు కానీ నువ్వు పీజీ కడదు కానీ. దిస్ ఇస్ వాట్, హూ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు పాస్ యూ ఆల్ దీస్ 5 years అంటే నువ్వే పాస్ చేయించదు కానీ.
If I may, madam, there are certain things that are in our hands. There are certain things which are not in our hands. Admissions, number of colleges, number of students, quality of students, it is not in our hands. But they have come to you. We have to follow a process, a due process, to ensure that the product we are sending out is going to give safe, secure health care, not to be the part of the forensic department killing the people. Understood? So the concept is why should we look at the end, looking at the results? My college got 99% pass, 100% pass. Why? Is there someone putting a gun to your head saying that everyone should go? As per my assessment methodologies, I found this person is not fit. That is why when you have regular formative assessments, which are not going to be standardized in one particular way, as per Vanderbilt, when you look at programmatic assessment, it is not only an MCQ, it is not only a short answer, it is not only a long answer. Any Tom, Dick and Harry method you can employ you to do the assessment. Even in the OP, see where we lack, we are all basic science faculties. This discussion should happen, and I'm happy with sir.
Clinical department.
He is a general surgeon professor. Right.
Round
No
of
one is stopping you from detaining a candidate. The problem is, the problem is, we take everything chalta hai, not you sir. We take everything chalta hai. At the end, when we try to detain a candidate, the only thing that I ask them when they come to me is, have you done an appropriate assessment? Is the candidate worthy of going to the examination or going to be failed? No sir, no sir. If we go the correct method, it will be a massacre. 1 batch, 2 batch massacres. Afterwards, it will only become a trickle.
Sir,
But who is going to bell that cat?
Sir, belling I have done many a time, sir. But back belling has also been done to me.
It will happen.
Sir, like I don't want to mention the year of batches or what. There was a year where I have detained 25 students from Pinnamaneni Siddhartha. Okay? So by evening, all the 25 student parents were there around my department. I had to take 3 days sick leave just to say that I was not available. Okay? You know, I got phones from university as well as MLAs.
You will get, madam.
Yeah.
You will get even from your family
Yes, sir.
members.
Normal. అక్కడ ఏంటంటే
Even from your family members you will get.
అదే అన్నాను, అప్పటికి ఇంకా పుష్ప సినిమా రాలేదు, తగ్గేదే లేదని. పుష్ప సినిమా రాకముందంటే మీరు ఆలోచించుకోండి.
The problem is, you have the armamentarium of not allowing a student or detaining a student if your assessments, attendance and everything is transparent. You have done a regular formative assessment. If they come to argue with you, dump it on the table. I have done the whole year. The assessment has been done over the whole year. We think only of undergraduates. The postgraduate, just because they have attendance, does not mean that he is or she or they or them are capable to go to exam. My assessment of the postgraduate, he is not suitable. Even though he or she has adequate attendance, I feel he is not up to the mark to go. I am detaining him. So for that, formative assessment is the weapon in your hands. That has to be done appropriately and it should be transparent, put up on the notice board.
Transparent and well documented,
Put up
sir.
on the notice
Transparent, well documented, and it should be intimated immediately, not at the end. At the end, they think that we are
Not at the
manipulating
end is
it.
again,
Yeah.
it's a weapon on their
Yes,
hands.
yes. So we have to do it immediately at
And
every point of
another
time.
point the parents will come is you should come and you should have informed us. It
Exactly.
is not our responsibility.
Yes.
They are majors. Okay, it is their responsibility to inform. And the double cut వచ్చానంటే దుబ్బే పని చెప్పాలి. Thank you.
The last
How to break the bad news.
Not to keep people from lunch, and many congratulations to all the panelists and Vahini madam for such a rousing panel discussion. It was really rousing, even though it's the last session. Everybody has been 100% engaged. This is not a defensive measure, but just a clarification which I need. Butter has been this. Yes?
Manaswini, that was only to pull you.
I know. No, I needed to clarify that because it is a dynamic document and we need to accept that. And another thing, I really appreciate Lalita madam for bringing in EPAs, because let us look forward to EPAs for PGs. So let us brace ourselves, and it is going to happen. And for the
Dr. Swati Purnima ma'am. Dr. P.J. Srinivas sir. Dr. Lakshmi Lalita ma'am. We also request sir to present the certificate to Vahini ma'am. We request Dr. Manaswini Das ma'am to get over the dais. Please join us for the group photo.